She walks into a room and instantly something shifts. You can't quite put your finger on it. She isn't the loudest. She doesn't demand attention. But there's an undeniable aura around her, a presence that naturally commands respect without asking for it. And here's what I want you to grasp today. That energy, that quiet strength, it's not something she was simply born with. It's something she cultivated, one intentional habit at a time. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt invisible? Like you've spent years, maybe decades, pouring everything into everyone around you, your family, your career, your friendships, and somewhere along the way, you completely forgot what it feels like to invest in yourself? Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered where she went? The woman who once had dreams, the woman who believed she deserved more, the woman who laughed freely, loved openly, and walked through life with her head held high. Life has a way of dimming our inner light, doesn't it? The disappointments, the betrayals, the moments when you gave everything and it still wasn't enough for someone. The times you stayed silent when you should have spoken up. The times you settled because you were just exhausted from constantly fighting. And slowly, without even realizing it, you began to shrink. But here's the truth I need you to hold in your heart. You didn't lose her. That woman, that queen, she's still inside you. She's been waiting for you to remember her, waiting for you to choose her once more. Because the reality is, cultivating an unshakable queen mindset isn't about becoming someone entirely new. It's about coming back home to who you were always meant to be. And that journey doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require a certain age, a particular body, or a specific relationship status. What it does demand is habits. Small, deliberate choices made every day that over time construct a foundation so strong that nothing and no one can shake you. Today, I'm going to share 5 such habits. These aren't complicated strategies or unrealistic advice meant for some fantasy version of a woman with endless time and no challenges. These are practical, grounded habits that real women in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, practice to protect their peace, strengthen their spirit, and walk through life with dignity. By the end of this conversation, you'll understand what truly separates a woman who feels constantly drained, disrespected, and depleted from a woman who radiates calm power, self-respect, and unwavering grace. And more importantly, you'll have actionable steps you can start today, right where you are, with exactly what you already have. Let's start here, because this habit lays the foundation for everything else. A woman with an unshakable queen mindset understands something that takes many of us years to fully grasp. Her peace is non-negotiable. Let me clarify. This isn't about selfishness. It's not about abandoning responsibilities or cutting off everyone who inconveniences you in minor ways. It's about understanding one fundamental truth. Your inner peace is the most valuable asset you own. If you don't actively protect it, no one else will. Think about it. When you are at peace, you make clearer decisions, show up fully for your loved ones, communicate more effectively, and preserve energy for what truly matters. But when your peace is constantly under attack, when anxiety and exhaustion dominate, everything suffers. Your health, your relationships, your joy, your dreams. This matters because we live in a world that often profits from our chaos. There are people in your life who feel comfortable when you're unsettled, who benefit when you're too drained to enforce boundaries, who actually prefer that you remain small, quiet, and exhausted. Not because they're malicious, but because your turbulence serves their comfort. And a woman with a queen mindset refuses to play that role anymore. Picture a woman named Amara. She's 42, works full-time, and has 2 teenage children. She also has a sister who calls almost every day with new crises. Each conversation leaves Amara drained. Her sister constantly unloads her problems, and Amara always tries to help. Her advice is often ignored, and the cycle repeats day after day. For years, Amara believed that answering every call was simply what a good sister does, that being loving meant being endlessly available. Then one day, something shifted. Amara realized that every time she picked up the phone, she was choosing her sister's chaos over her own peace. She was sacrificing mental energy she needed for her children, her work, and her personal growth. So she made a conscious decision. She didn't cut her sister off or stage a confrontation. She simply began setting gentle boundaries, avoiding calls during dinner, letting some calls go to voicemail, and responding only when she felt grounded. When conversations spiraled, she learned to say, "I love you, but I'm not in the right space to discuss this right now." Was it uncomfortable initially? Absolutely. Did her sister resist? Of course. But over time, Amara started to feel lighter. She had more energy for her children, slept better, and surprisingly, her sister began to respect her more. Because protecting your peace teaches others how to treat you. Here are some practical steps. First, identify your peace drainers. Not to judge them, but to notice who or what consistently leaves you depleted. Write them down if you need to. Awareness is the first step. Second, start small. Observe when you feel at peace and when you feel drained. That alone is powerful. Third, practice gentle boundaries. You can be loving while still saying no. You can be a good daughter, mother, or friend and maintain your peace simultaneously. These actions are not opposites. They complement each other. Remember, every time you choose your peace over someone else's chaos, you're not being selfish. You're being wise. You're teaching others how to engage with you and modeling strength for everyone watching, including your daughters, nieces, and friends. A queen doesn't sit on her throne stressed and depleted. She guards her peace like the treasure it is. Now, let's explore the second habit, the power of words. A woman with an unshakable queen mindset knows that words are seeds. What she speaks plants into her relationships, her self-image, and her future. She's careful, not silent, not passive, but deliberate. She understands the difference between reacting and responding. When you react, emotions drive your words. You say the first thing that comes to mind, often matching someone else's energy, and frequently causing regret or harm. But when you respond, you pause, breathe, and choose words intentionally, communicating with clarity and dignity, not manipulation. This is crucial because life will present situations that test you. Disrespectful comments, unfair treatment, provocations. True power lies not in anger, but in composure. Anyone can scream or argue, but staying calm under pressure, speaking truth without cruelty, and holding your ground with grace, that is unshakable strength. Consider Fatima, 51. She went through a difficult divorce 5 years ago. Her ex would try to provoke her, say hurtful things, and push her buttons, often in front of their children. Initially, she reacted, arguing, defending herself, matching his energy. Each reaction left her feeling drained, not because she was wrong, but because she had allowed him to disrupt her peace. One day, a mentor told her something that transformed her perspective. Fatima, you cannot control what he says, but you can always control what you become in response. That advice landed deep. From that day on, she chose not to give him the reactions he sought. She paused, breathed, and responded with calm, measured words. Or sometimes, simply chose silence and walked away. Over time, his provocations lost their power. Her children noticed her stability, her composure, and her newfound strength. Fatima discovered a resilience within herself she hadn't realized existed. The kind of strength she carries comes from deliberately choosing who she wants to be, even when others are trying to shape her into someone else. This is the essence of true power, the quiet, unwavering choice to remain yourself. Here are some practical steps you can start applying today. First, practice the pause. This may seem simple, but it is incredibly powerful. Before responding to anything that triggers you, take 3 deep, intentional breaths, not to suppress your emotions, but to create a space between the trigger and your response. Second, ask yourself this vital question before speaking. Will these words build or break? Not just in the immediate moment, but in the long run. Will they cultivate trust, respect, and understanding, or will they damage connection and peace? Learn a few key phrases to navigate difficult moments. Things like, I need a moment to gather my thoughts. I'm not going to respond to that right now, or I hear what you're saying, and I'd like to discuss this when we're both calm. These aren't signs of weakness, they are tools of wisdom. And remember, your silence can also hold immense power. Not every comment deserves a response, and not every argument warrants your energy. Sometimes the most regal choice is simply to step back and let your silence speak volumes. Now, the third habit. This one may challenge long-held beliefs. A woman with an unshakable queen mindset invests in herself consistently, intentionally, and without guilt. Before you think, I don't have the time, or I have too many obligations, pause and truly hear this. Investing in yourself is not a luxury. It is essential. And I'm not merely talking about spa days or indulgent baths, though those can be lovely. I'm speaking about something deeper, feeding your mind with knowledge, caring for your body because it carries your spirit, nurturing your soul because it is the source of your strength, and developing your skills because your potential doesn't expire. This is crucial because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Life constantly asks of you. Your family needs you. Your work demands you. Your community relies on you. If you're always giving without replenishing yourself, eventually there will be nothing left to offer. The painful reality is that running on empty doesn't just cause fatigue, it breeds resentment, invisibility, and a sense of being unappreciated. You start asking, why doesn't anyone care for me the way I care for them? The truth is, no one can take care of you the way you can. Not your partner, your children, or your friends. They can support you, love you, and encourage you, but the primary responsibility for your well-being lies with you. This isn't a burden, it's your power. Take Priya as an example. She's 38, a mother of 3, working part-time, while also caring for her aging parents. For years, she was always last on her own priority list. She couldn't recall the last time she read for pleasure, hadn't exercised in years, and wore worn-out clothes because her resources were always devoted to others. She believed this self-sacrifice made her a good mother, a good woman, until her youngest daughter asked a heartbreaking question. Mama, why do you never do anything fun? That question stayed with her. Priya realized that in trying to give her children everything, she had unintentionally taught them that a woman's needs don't matter, and that mothers are meant to disappear. She had been living under the misconception that self-care was selfish. Priya made a decision to shift her habits. She began with small steps, waking 30 minutes earlier to enjoy a quiet cup of tea before the day's chaos. Buying herself a single dress, not extravagant, but something that made her feel beautiful. Taking a short walk in the evenings for just 20 minutes. Slowly, these tiny actions transformed her. Her children began seeing a different mother, one who laughed more, had more patience, and modeled self-respect. And Priya herself rediscovered her own sense of self. Not the pre-children self that had vanished, but a new, fuller self. A woman fully aware of her worth. Practical steps for investing in yourself are simple but powerful. First, schedule personal time as if it's an unmissable appointment. If you wait until you have free time, you will never make space for yourself. Protect it fiercely. Second, feed your mind. Listen to inspiring podcasts while cooking. Read a few pages of a book before bed. Watch educational or motivational videos. Your mind is a garden. Choose carefully what you plant there. Third, move your body, not to punish yourself or meet someone else's standards, but because your body carries you through life. Care for it, honor it, stretch and strengthen it. Fourth, spend money on yourself without guilt. This doesn't mean being reckless, but if you can treat others, you can treat yourself. You deserve joy and quality too. Understand this mindset shift. Investing in yourself doesn't take away from your family. It adds to them. A woman who is full, growing, and alive with purpose gives from abundance, not emptiness. A queen doesn't neglect her kingdom, and her kingdom is her body, mind, and soul. The fourth habit demands maturity, discernment, and a form of surrender that our controlling minds often resist. A woman with an unshakable queen mindset releases what she cannot control. There are elements in life fully within your power. Your choices, your responses, your habits, your words, your energy. But many things lie outside your influence. Other people's actions, their opinions, the past, certain outcomes no matter how hard you try. So many of us exhaust ourselves attempting the impossible. Managing how others perceive us, forcing relationships to succeed, changing people who don't wish to change, replaying the past thinking we can fix it. This drains us. Your energy is finite. Every ounce spent on the uncontrollable is stolen from what you can shape. A queen knows the difference. She cannot make someone love her properly, but she can decide whether to remain in that relationship. She cannot erase past mistakes, but she can learn from them. She cannot dictate how others treat her, but she can choose the limits of what she tolerates. This is wisdom, and it's freedom. Grace's story illustrates this perfectly. At 45, she carried the heavy weight of a strained relationship with her mother. Her mother was critical, cold, and impossible to please. No matter what Grace achieved, it never felt enough. She bent herself into impossible shapes, sent gifts, made countless calls, apologized for things she hadn't done, all hoping one day to hear, "I'm proud of you." That day never arrived, and Grace's life suffered. Anxiety and self-doubt seeped into every relationship. She couldn't celebrate her own successes because she was trapped in the expectation of her mother's approval. One day, Grace realized she couldn't control her mother. That was never within her power. What she could control was how much authority her mother's opinion had over her life. She didn't cut her mother off or disrespect her. She simply released the expectation. She stopped waiting for approval that might never come and began cultivating internal validation. The result was profound. Grace found genuine peace, a peace that didn't depend on anyone else's mood or behavior. She continued to love her mother and participate in family events, but she no longer bore the impossible burden. She released what she couldn't control. Practical steps for this habit. Regularly ask yourself, is this within my control? Pause whenever you feel stressed or anxious and act. If it is, release it if it's not. Let go of the need to be understood by everyone. A queen doesn't require unanimous agreement to recognize her worth. Practice this phrase, "I've done what I can. The rest is not mine to carry." Speak it, write it, let it become a guiding mantra. Stop replaying the past. It's a place to learn from, not a place to reside. Take the lesson, leave the pain, and move forward. And here's the deeper truth. Releasing control is not giving up. It's growing up. It's trusting yourself to handle whatever comes your way, even when you can't dictate every outcome. A woman with a queen mindset doesn't clutch life so tightly that she crushes her own peace. She holds it gently. She trusts the flow of life. She surrenders what she must and fiercely protects what she can. Now let's talk about the fifth habit, perhaps the most vital of all. A woman with an unshakable queen mindset knows her standards, maintains them, and never apologizes for them. Let me clarify. By standards, I don't mean being difficult for the sake of it. I don't mean holding unrealistic expectations or chasing perfection. I mean knowing your worth and refusing to accept anything less. I mean establishing a baseline of respect, effort, honesty, and care that you require from anyone in your inner circle, whether that's a partner, a friend, a family member, or even yourself. This is crucial because your standards reflect your self-respect. When you tolerate disrespect, you are signaling that you don't deserve better. When you accept crumbs, you are implying you aren't worthy of the full meal. Lowering your standards to keep someone around is abandoning yourself for their comfort. No relationship is worth losing your sense of self. A woman with a queen mindset would rather stand alone with her dignity than kneel in someone else's chaos. That doesn't make her cold, nor does it mean she doesn't love. It doesn't indicate impossible expectations. It shows that she values herself enough not to participate in her own diminishment. Consider Zab, or Zanab, who is 50. She had been married for 22 years before her husband left her for someone else. She was devastated, grieving for months, questioning herself, wondering what she could have done differently. Then, despite advice from well-meaning friends, she cautiously began to date again. Slowly, intentionally, not desperately. What she noticed shocked her. She had been tolerating poor treatment for so long that she had forgotten what genuine care and respect felt like. In her marriage, she had excused coldness and minimized herself to maintain peace. As she met new people, Zanab made a promise to herself. She would never compromise her standards to avoid loneliness. She created a list, not superficial preferences, but core values: honesty, consistency, kindness, and respect. Whenever someone could not meet these values, she thanked them and moved on. Quietly, without drama or pleading, she held her dignity. Some thought she was too picky. Some suggested she should settle because of her age. But Zainab understood something they didn't. Being alone with her integrity was far better than being with someone who made her feel less than she truly was. Here's the most beautiful part. 3 years later, Zainab met a man who matched her energy, who valued her, who was consistent, who honored her in ways she hadn't imagined were possible. But the greater achievement happened during those 3 years of waiting. Zainab wasn't miserable. She wasn't desperate. She built a life she loved. She became a woman she was proud of. When the right person arrived, she wasn't seeking someone to complete her. She was already complete. She was seeking someone to complement her, not fill her void. Practical steps for honoring your standards. First, clarify your non-negotiables. Identify the behaviors and values that are essential for anyone in your life. Not shallow preferences, but deep principles. Write them down and know them by heart. Second, focus on actions more than words. Anyone can speak beautifully, but how do they act when it's inconvenient? When you express a need, how do they respond? Actions reveal true character. Third, practice walking away gracefully. You don't need to create drama or justify yourself. Removing yourself from situations that don't honor you is a display of strength. Fourth, never apologize for your standards. You don't owe explanations for expecting respect, honesty, and care. These are reasonable, essential expectations. And here's the deeper truth. Releasing control is not giving up. It's growing up. It's trusting yourself to handle whatever comes your way, even when you can't dictate every outcome. A woman with a queen mindset doesn't clutch life so tightly that she crushes her own peace. She holds it gently. She trusts the flow of life. She surrenders what she must and fiercely protects what she can. Now let's talk about the fifth habit, perhaps the most vital of all. A woman with an unshakable queen mindset knows her standards, maintains them, and never apologizes for them. Let me clarify. By standards, I don't mean being difficult for the sake of it. I don't mean holding unrealistic expectations or chasing perfection. I mean knowing your worth and refusing to accept anything less. I mean establishing a baseline of respect, effort, honesty, and care that you require from anyone in your inner circle, whether that's a partner, a friend, a family member, or even yourself. This is crucial because your standards reflect your self-respect. When you tolerate disrespect, you are signaling that you don't deserve better. When you accept crumbs, you are implying you aren't worthy of the full meal. Lowering your standards to keep someone around is abandoning yourself for their comfort. No relationship is worth losing your sense of self. A woman with a queen mindset would rather stand alone with her dignity than kneel in someone else's chaos. That doesn't make her cold, nor does it mean she doesn't love. It doesn't indicate impossible expectations. It shows that she values herself enough not to participate in her own diminishment. Consider Zab, or Zainab, who is 50. She had been married for 22 years before her husband left her for someone else. She was devastated, grieving for months, questioning herself, wondering what she could have done differently. Then, despite advice from well-meaning friends, she cautiously began to date again. Slowly, intentionally, not desperately. What she noticed shocked her. She had been tolerating poor treatment for so long that she had forgotten what genuine care and respect felt like. In her marriage, she had excused coldness and minimized herself to maintain peace. As she met new people, Zainab made a promise to herself. She would never compromise her standards to avoid loneliness. She created a list, not superficial preferences, but core values: honesty, consistency, kindness, and respect. Whenever someone could not meet these values, she thanked them and moved on. Quietly, without drama or pleading, she held her dignity. Some thought she was too picky, some suggested she should settle because of her age. But Zainab understood something they didn't. Being alone with her integrity was far better than being with someone who made her feel less than she truly was. Here's the most beautiful part. 3 years later, Zainab met a man who matched her energy, who valued her, who was consistent, who honored her in ways she hadn't imagined were possible. But the greater achievement happened during those 3 years of waiting. Zainab wasn't miserable. She wasn't desperate. She built a life she loved. She became a woman she was proud of. When the right person arrived, she wasn't seeking someone to complete her. She was already complete. She was seeking someone to complement her, not fill her void. Practical steps for honoring your standards. First, clarify your non-negotiables. Identify the behaviors and values that are essential for anyone in your life, not shallow preferences, but deep principles. Write them down and know them by heart. Second, focus on actions more than words. Anyone can speak beautifully, but how do they act when it's inconvenient? When you express a need, how do they respond? Actions reveal true character. Third, practice walking away gracefully. You don't need to create drama or justify yourself. Removing yourself from situations that don't honor you is a display of strength. Fourth, never apologize for your standards. You don't owe explanations for expecting respect, honesty, and care. These are reasonable, essential expectations. Understand this: when you hold your standards, some people will leave. That's inevitable. But you'll gain something far more valuable: self-respect, peace, and relationships with people capable of meeting you where you are. A queen doesn't lower her crown for others. She seeks those willing to rise to meet her. Before we conclude, I want to address a part of you that may be struggling. Maybe you've been thinking as you listened, "This sounds amazing, but I could never do that. I've never been that kind of woman. It's too late for me. I've made too many mistakes. People will think I'm being proud or difficult." I understand completely. Many of us were raised with limiting beliefs, that being a good woman means always putting others first, that having standards is arrogance, that protecting our peace is selfish, that speaking our truth is being difficult. We were taught to be small, quiet, and compliant. Perhaps we even lived by it for a time. Today, I offer a new perspective. Respecting yourself is not selfish. It is wisdom. Protecting your peace is not cold. It is health. Speaking intentionally is not difficult. It is power. Investing in yourself is not vanity. It is responsibility. Honoring your standards is not pride. It is dignity. These are qualities to cultivate, not flaws to hide. And it doesn't matter how long you've lived differently, how many times you've abandoned yourself, or how many mistakes you've made. Today is a new beginning. You can start now with whatever you have. One habit at a time, one choice at a time, one moment of self-respect at a time. The woman with an unshakable queen mindset wasn't born that way. She was built through daily choices, small acts of courage, and a refusal to give up on herself even when life was difficult. And if she can do it, so can you. Let's summarize what we've explored. Habit 1, protecting your peace like it's sacred. Habit 2, speaking with intention. Habit 3, investing in yourself without guilt. Habit 4, releasing what you cannot control. Habit 5, honoring your standards without apology. Your journey may have been hard. You may have felt invisible, unappreciated, or even broken at times. But you are here. You are still learning, still seeking, still growing. That is proof that the queen within you is alive, fighting and hoping. Take these habits not as burdens, but as tools for freedom. Begin with the one that resonates most. Practice it for a week, then add another. Step by step, you will see transformation. You'll look in the mirror and recognize her, the woman you always knew could exist. Calm, grounded, dignified, unshakable. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. A queen mindset is about building yourself and lifting others. Share this message with women in your life, a sister, friend, mother, or daughter. Support one another. Protect your peace, honor your worth, and remember, you are deserving of every beautiful thing you seek.